always very aware that it wasn't me, myself, doing it. It was a channeled source. I was raised the oldest of 4 girls. I was raised in the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church does not believe in any of this, or they are not acknowledging any of this. It reinforced my programming because it is very ritualistic religion. And it was every time I went there to church and listened to the sermon, any of these thoughts that I was thinking, I pushed to the back of my mind, and I didn't think about them. So it was very reinforcing. When I was 5 years old, I was taken to Russia, and I was involved in a program with other children who had the same abilities. The Russians were much more advanced in this area. They were very interested in the psychic research, paranormal research. And what happened to me there was that I was being involved in developing these abilities. They did an ice water immersion with me more than one time. It was many times. I was being immersed in ice water so that my heart would stop beating. And my essence would leave my body. I was told that when this happened, I was to go to a particular room where there was an officer in a uniform sitting in the room. He was sitting at a table. On the table was a piece of paper and a pencil. All I was to do was to make a mark on the paper. That was what I was to do. And this proved to them that I did this. And it was observed. And it was recorded. I was not able to do this the first few times. It was repeated until I was able to do it. It went on from there. What this program was called was Operation North Star. I did not understand, it took me years to understand, why would it be called that? Naval intelligence here was involved with it. The reason that it is called Operation North Star is because when a psychic leaves their body, they are taught to go out into the other dimensions through the North Star. The trigger for me was that these phone calls continued, and there were things besides phone calls, but as I was trying to go through recovery, the phone calls continued, and some of these phone calls were sonar sounds on a phone that you would hear from a submarine. My association that I was given was of picturing a submarine going into the Arctic Ocean, into ice water. And when that sub was immersed in the water, then I would start to experience this Kundalini energy going all the way up my spine to the chakras. And when it got all the way up to my head, then I would leave my body and traverse dimensions, whatever it was they wanted me to do. And what I know from my work of recovery is that I realized in that state what was going on. And my goal was to try and get away from them before they could latch to me in that state and control me. And that is what I tried to do. For many years, this went on, and I also ended up visiting the parapsychology unit at UCLA. That unit was associated with this. Jolly West was the medical director of that unit, and Thelma Moss was the psychologist or parapsychologist associated with that unit. They were looking for people that had these abilities. All of these intelligence groups there are people in the intelligence groups that are not associated with any of this. However, there are many in the intelligence groups that are associated with this kind of activity. And they are working in conjunction with the Illuminati to achieve goals of total control. Psychics are considered very dangerous to New World Order because psychics need to be controlled. They are harder to control. Psychics employ scalar energy or scalar wave technology. That is what is the mode of transport of information and knowledge, and it is hard, next to impossible to control. So it is monitored. Soon after I started recovery, I was in a conversation with a woman by the name of Julianne McKinney. And Julianne McKinney, to my understanding, was ex-Army intelligence and CIA. She had a contact in the NSA call her after our conversation to warn me that I was being monitored by the NSA. And I was being psychically monitored. This was the term used. My understanding is that the NSA have computers that do psychic monitoring. And they monitored brain waves, they monitor you psychically, and we've had this technology for a while. I was told, don't have memories, don't write anything down on paper, wait about a month before you do any of that. Try to think of other things because you are being monitored. That was very difficult for me to do because I was in recovery. When I was a child, in order to make me into an obedient slave, I had to be trained. And the training actually starts when you're a baby. Well, they're still testing you. They're testing you in utero. They're testing you when you're a baby. They're testing your response to noxious stimuli. So they will hurt the mother to hurt the baby. They also, they utilize astrology. And there is just no other way to say it. They utilize astrology in order to ensure that they bring about somebody who has the particular characteristics that they are looking for. It doesn't mean that you will do this or that at a certain age. It means that you are more likely to be steered in this direction or that, and this is more likely to be your reaction. My birth was engineered to happen so that I was born, whether you want to call it Aquarius or Pisces. It was engineered to happen in February and it was right on the cusp. It was about